All right, what is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast, real estate tip, where every single week I come to you delivering different tips, tactics, and strategies to help you get shit done inside your real estate business and help you ensure that you are crushing and dominating your overall real estate goals. So today I'm here to talk to you about how to get one new listing each and every single week. And we're going to go through a step-by-step process here on this podcast. So I'm going to be breaking down, what the best niches are to target in 2024 in this current market that we're in. So then that way I'm going to go through the pros and cons of each so you know how to identify the best niche, the best strategy, to go after for acquiring these listings. And then we're going to go through some tools and equipments that can just help you be more effective and efficient and help you kind of do twice as much in half the amount of time when we're acquiring these listings. Then we're going to go through follow-up processes. We're going to go through different scripts and recommendations there on how to convert these and how to have these effective conversations. All the way through, I'm going to go through what my recommended schedule will be daily. So then that way you have all the information, the tools, resources that you need to go out there and make this a reality inside your business. Because look, this isn't something that's difficult. This isn't something that's hard. This is something that any of you can go out there and do in like a 40-hour work week. This doesn't need to. If you get these things refined, if you dial in your strategy, you dial in your process, you dial in your skill set, you should, if you are good. Now in the beginning, like how do we get good? Like we just keep taking action. We might suck in the beginning. It might be a little bit harder. Look 40-hour work week. Maybe in the beginning you're getting 2 listings a month, but as this gets better, then boom, you get to that 40. This will happen. But how we get good is by getting in the reps, getting in the practice, refining these different things, right? So the reason why I'm bringing that up is I don't want you to get frustrated. I don't want you to abandon certain things. It's like, okay, my daughter right now just got her permit. Turned 15, I guess 15 and a half, right? And, just got her permit. So then, okay, well, how are we getting her good at driving? Well, okay, like we start off, hey, we're not going to leave the neighborhood. We're just going to go inside the neighborhood. We're just going to practice your rights, practice your lefts, practice use your blinker, practice parking, practice those things. Okay, after we got in a bunch of those reps, okay, now let's go during, off times, around, slower streets. We built up, okay, last night I ended up taking her on the expressway for the first time. Like we're slowly building these things up. And then boom, before you know it, she's going to master that activity just like you and I have mastered, that in our own lives. Our real estate business is the same thing. So many of us just get so damn hard and start harping on ourselves so quickly out of the gate because we haven't mastered this stuff. Like you will master it. Don't give up. Don't not stop 3 feet short of goal. Okay, so we're going to do a deep dive into these here today. Now, 3 quick things that I want to make sure that you have in place before this. And if you listen to this podcast a lot, you hear me talking about these all the time, or at least these first 2 all the time. But I want to make sure that you have the things in place to pull this off. Okay, number 1, you got to have your tracking system in place. So now we are going to be tracking per niche that you're going after to go out there and acquire these listings. So whether maybe I'm going after divorces, absentee owners, and FSBOs. Okay, I'm going to track each one separately, and I'm going to be tracking number of reach outs, number of conversations, number of appointments set, number of appointment conductions, number of clients, number of closings. That gives me an overall picture that also allows me to see areas of improvement inside my business. I know I always beat tracking to death on these, so I'm going to leave that out there. But if you're not tracking your data, not tracking your numbers, you're going to have a very difficult time really mastering and excelling, your ability to go out there and acquire more listings. Then from there, number 2, got to have your CRM dialed in. Look, if you want to maximize on this. So let's just say with expireds, like you want to get to a point, let's just say we're at a 6% appointment or listing take conversation to a listing take-in rate. Okay. Most in our industry are like half of 1%, like terrible numbers. But and that comes from not having the right process, not having the right skill set, but then not having, the right tools in place for that follow-up. Look, you got to get very good at the front end of the game, the middle of the game, and the long game. So then I'll just use expireds as an example here. You're going to have, 10% of expireds relist in the first 3 months. Okay. But 90% relist 4 months, kind of between that 4 year and like 2 year mark. Yeah. 4 months, sorry, in that 2 year mark. So, okay, like I need to get damn good and be able to keep these contacts in my system and know, Okay, well, what's their situation? Again, 90% do not relist within the first 90 days. It's like, hey, I want to sell, but I'm sick and tired of making my damn bed every day, man. I just need a breather. I need a break, or maybe they're just got a little discouraged. They just need time to get those goals excited again, or whatever it may be. There's going to be situational reasons. There's going to be a lot of different reasons, but you're going to get just a law of averages, man. You're going to get some that are immediate. You're going to get some that are 3 months, some that are 6 months, some that are 12 months, some that are 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Like for me, I don't care. Yes, in a perfect world, we'd all get them now, but that's not the reality of this situation. You want to maximize on your conversions, and you want to maximize on the amount of listings, maximize conversions, you maximize the amount of listings you're going to get. You got to get good at playing the front end of the game, the mid game, and the long game to maximize these conversions. So, because people will challenge me on this 6%, conversation listing taken rate. But I'm like, yeah, dude, like you're just one and done. You're pounding for that first week. Like, dude, once I get on the phone with them, I identify timeline, identify goal, set appointment if able or appropriate, if unable or inappropriate, because I know timeline and goal, I never stop following up with them. Because I know at some point they're going to be valid sellers. It's like when people do open houses and they're like, oh, I get these nosy neighbors through. I'm like, I fucking love nosy neighbors. Those are homeowners that live in the area that I have a chance to get to know, that just saw me during a job interview, that if I capture their information, capture value, develop that relationship, that rapport over time. The name of the real estate game is to get people to know you, like you, trust you, be aware of what you do for a living, follow frequently, keep your message from frequently, your business continues to grow and expand. These are people that you will acquire over time if you play the long game. The problem that so many in our industry has is so damn short-sighted. They're just looking for the now immediate quick business, the low-hanging fruit. They don't know how to play the mid or long game. Definitely don't know how to play the long game. Right? And they have low conversions. So if we want to maximize this, we got to play, all three games. And a CRM allows you to keep all that together because you're not going to be able to keep it together otherwise. Okay, the third component here is making sure that you have your listing presentation dialed in. Because today I'm going to go through essentially how to get to the listing presentation. But you don't worry, in real estate, we're in a two-step sales process. And this doesn't matter if you're going for buyers, sellers, or agent recruits. It's all a two-step sales process. Step number one, you're selling the appointment. Then at the appointment, that's where you are selling you and your services. You don't want to put all this energy and time into getting to the listing table, and then you go out there and flop that, right? So you need to make sure that, so just get a world-class listing presentation in place, practice the shit out of it, get amazing at that. Right? Especially when we're going after cold sources of business. These are people that don't know you from anybody. Yeah, right? They're interviewing 2 or 3 other agents. If you're going head to head with somebody like me that's been doing this for a long time, that sold over 7,000 homes, like, okay, how are you going to come out there and be victorious? Real estate is a zero-sum game. If they're interviewing 2 or 3 people, one of us is winning, and then we got the others that are losing, right? So we don't want to put all this time, energy, and effort to get to that point and then flop it. Okay, so now we're going to get into again, the core things when it comes to, okay, how do I start getting the ample listing presentations that I need so I can take one listing each and every single week? But before I jump into that, look, if you are a real estate agent, if you are a team leader, if you are a real estate brokerage owner, and your business is not exactly where you want it to be, maybe your business is declining, maybe it's staying stagnant, just kind of staying the same year after year. Maybe it's growing, just not growing at the pace that you ultimately want it to grow at. It's like you're operating down here, but deep down your full potential is way up here, and you're capable of much greater output and production and things than you've created. And you just do not know exactly what to do to get from where you're at to where you want to go. If that is you, I invite you to schedule a 100% free, 100% zero pressure Zoom coaching call with me personally. It's going to be me and you. And we're going to spend an hour together on this free zero pressure Zoom coaching call. Here's what we're going to break down: where your business is currently at, what your 12-month goals are, what your long-term goals and visions are for your business, what you're currently doing, what your biggest obstacles are. Then from there, I'm going to map out, as your coach on this free coaching call, exactly what I recommend that you do to get from where you're at to exactly where it is that you want to go in the quickest, most effective, efficient, profitable manner possible. You have my word on this, that by the end of this free zero pressure coaching call, you will know exactly what you must do, what you must execute on. You're going to eliminate all that overwhelm, all that, chaos that's going on in your head right now, all that guesswork. You're going to be able to be like a horse with the blinders on and know exactly what you must do to get from where you're at to where it is that you want to go. Now, full disclosure with this coaching call, it's about 50 minutes, which is more than enough time going through everything that we need to do to get you dialed in there. Regardless, like, I don't care if you're an individual agent, team leader, broker owner, if you're, selling 10 homes a year, looking to get to 30, or if you're a team leader selling 100 homes, looking to get to 500 homes, if you're a brokerage owner with 50 agents, looking to scale to 1,000 agents, I got your back, man. I will get you dialed in done it, seen it. I know how to get you from where you're at to where you want to go, and we'll get you dialed in with that. So in that 50 minutes, we're going to get all that handled. Then the last 10 minutes, I'm going to spend a few minutes walking through what my coaching program is, what it entails. And look, if it's a fit for you, cool. If it's not, that's okay too. We can still be friends. You have my 100% word that whether you ever do any, let's just say you don't ever do any coaching with me, advanced coaching with me outside of this free coaching call, this will be such a powerful session for you. You'll know exactly what to do to get from where you're at to where you want to go. You got nothing to lose, everything to gain here. You have my word on that. Everything I do is zero pressure. I don't need the business that bad. I'm not going to beg you. I'm not going to hard sell. It's not my style. I'm here to just pour into value and make sure that you are dialed in your business. Now, if this is something you want to take advantage of, I cannot do these forever. So as I'm doing this for this temporary period of time, this is something that you want to take advantage of. Go to www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. All right, so now let's jump on into, again, what do we got to do to go out there and get the listing appointment flow? Because depending on your skill set, you're going to need about 4 to 3 listing appointments set per week to go out there and get one listing taken, right? And again, like I said, it depends on listing skill set, but we're talking about these are going to be niches for new business that's in control, that can guarantee that you have your new business. Okay, so then from there, but we got to get to the listing appointments. Now, assuming that you're damn good and you got a world-class listing presentation dialed in, okay, everything else I'm said, like we already talked about that earlier, assuming that you got that in place. I see so many that, YouTube videos or podcasts out there like, oh, well, here's how to go out there and list X or do X, but they give the most shallow nuggets. And I'm like, dude, like that, no wonder people have, such a difficult time figuring this stuff out, right? Like I want to make sure that you know what you got to do to get this with expectations. So again, if you're brand new, it might take you, if your listing presentation sucks, it might be 5 listing presentations set, 5 appointments set to get one listing taken. This is why tracking, like I said earlier, is so important. I know that not all this stuff is the fun, sexy stuff that we want to do and hear about, but you want to get damn good at this business. These are just the fundamentals and foundations that you have in business. I'm not here to sugarcoat shit. I'm not here to, look, there's some fun parts of this business and there's parts of it that suck. And I get it for most of us, including myself. Having to put my head in fucking trackers and Excel spreadsheets, like that sucks. I don't enjoy that, but I understand that that's where the money is truly made in this business. So I do it, right? Okay, so now let's talk about identifying the right niches. This is really, really important. And this is going to change market to market. Who knows? This could change 12 months from today. Some of these niches, some of these niches on here, like absentee owners, as an example, 3 years ago was not a niche at all that was clicking hard for us. We had an abundance of people buying these investment units, not selling them. Just been in the last 2.5 years. Well, it's 2.5 years, let's call it. Not even 2.5 full years yet. Since things started changing there, where rent started coming down and whole revenue started coming down, to the eviction started skyrocketing, all this crazy inflation that we've been experiencing, so, okay, this is a new niche for us that's really started to explode. Same thing with, pre-foreclosures. This is a newer niche that we're starting to see. Not that it didn't always exist, always has. All of these niches always exist, but meaning to being at the conversion rates that they're at, today. But again, 12 months from now, they may not exist. So you have to have the ability to identify what is the best niche for me to go after to target in that given market. You're not going to have the same, ideal client or same niche for your whole entire career. It just ain't going to exist for at least the vast majority of us, right? Okay, so now we're talking with listings. So this is a market where we got to target and focus on those that need to sell, not those that want to sell. There's an abundance of people that want to sell. I want an extra bedroom. I no longer like my subdivision or my commute time. I want to sell. But okay, if I got to go buy at today's prices and I get locked in a 7 or 8% rate today and then I have to give up my 3% rate in my current house, okay, the pain of buying outweighs the pain of staying where I'm at. So I'm going to stay where I'm at, right? That's why listing volume is so damn low. And transaction volume has been so low over the past couple of years, because that's just the reality of the situation, right? So we need to identify those that need to sell, not those that want to sell. By this, I mean those that have the deepest pain with their current living situation, where the pain of their current living situation outweighs the pain of the change. Now, all 5 of these niches just pop amazing right now. I'm going to go through them quickly, but I'm going to go through the pros and cons so you can pick which one or 2 you need to go after. Now, for most of you, depending on your market size, like I'm in Phoenix Metro. So Phoenix Metro is huge. I could go after any one of these and have, well over 100 listings a year in any one of these niches. Now, maybe if I'm in a small town, because you're going to have limitations with FISBOs or expire. You're going to have limitations with some of these. Maybe you have to do 2 or 3 of these. It's going to take however many it takes, based on your market size to make sure that you have enough conversations on a weekly basis. Okay, so let's go through these 5 niches. Okay, you got expireds, you got FISBOs. Always have been great, always are great, probably always will be great. We don't know their exact pain, but we know they're in enough pain, the current living situation, where they've already raised their hand that, hey, I want to go out there and sell. So these are great sources. Great for now listings and again down the road listings like I talked about earlier, but they're great sources to go after and get listings from. The negative, and I'm going to go after the pros and cons so you could be prepared for each. The negative of these is, okay, you can't control, depending on the market, there may not be enough for you. There may not be enough flow, enough listing flow, like maybe you only have 15 total FISBOs in your entire market, and that's just not enough for you to hit your target numbers. Okay, you're gonna have some, you can have limitations. That's one negative on these. Expired's not so much because you can go back to 2 years, and have great returns, with that. Like if you gave me on expireds the choice of, okay, Josh, you have to pick one. You got day 1 expires or 6-month-old expireds. I'll pick 6-month-old all day long. All right. So, so we can go back with expires. So expires aren't so much of a limitation that FISBOs are, but with those, okay, so that's one potential negative with these sources. The second negative, the even bigger negative, and I don't deem this to be a negative. I just want to make sure that you have awareness of that. All of these negatives, each one again has some goods and kind of some things that we just need to be aware of, right? Is okay, depending on your market size, like in my market, with 60,000 agents, okay, I might have 100 agents attacking these same expireds and FISBOs, hardcore. So then from there, now is that something for me to be intimidated about? No. I just need to understand that my process and my skill set has to be different, unique, and superior of my competitors, because these are going to be the most saturated space, right? This is where you're going to have the most competition of going after these. So then we just have to be better with our processes and our strategies and our skill sets to go out there and stand out, right? So those would be, so the other 3 just aren't near as competitive. So you might decide, hey, I want to go after the other 3. But again, each one has their pros and cons. Okay, absentee owners. So what is an absentee owner? I know most of you probably know this, but just in case you don't, an absentee owners, okay, they own this unit, right? They own this house. Like, if you're going after single family attached like I do, meaning 4 or less units, they own this piece of property, but they do not reside in it personally. So there's really going to be 4 kind of buckets that are tossed in with the absentee owners, right? So you're going to have your long-term buy and hold investors, like your regular, landlords that go out there and get a tenant that's in place for a year or 2. You're going to have your short-term vacation rentals, like your Airbnbs as an example. You're going to have, snowbirds, or people that this is just a vacation home. They come out there and spend a couple months, few months out of the year. It's not their primary residence. And then you get some probates thrown in here too. Like once it records, maybe their parents passed away, they inherited the house. It's not their primary residence, but it's now in their name. So those are going to be there are four niches in there. Now, depending on your market, this can vary, but for most of us, the biggest bucket is going to be investors that own these units. Right. So we have to have awareness of that. But look, if we look at, okay, the pain today, they're all experiencing a lot of pain, which is all the hold cost of real estate is just skyrocketing. So even if they paid cash for these, you got taxes going up, you got insurance going up, you got HOAs going up, you got, let's just say on the tenant side, because a lot of these are going to be landlords, okay, tenant evictions up 50+% from pre-pandemic levels. Then we got rents coming down. Like in my market, rents are down 8% year over year. So we got, tenant evictions skyrocketing. We got rents coming down and all their hold costs going up and up and up. So if they want to sell at or close to peak pricing, now is an opportune time to do so. Now, if there is one negative with absentee owners, it's going to be that, okay, like these longer term buy and holds. Yeah, hey, I want to sell, but I got a tenant in place until the end of August. So okay, I'm going to have some of that, right? Now with the short term vacation rentals, snowbirds, probates, right? Those will be, usually quicker sales. But the long-term buy and holds, if you have a lot of those in your area, like in my market, we have a shit ton of like Phoenix is just a very investor heavy market. So that becomes commonplace. And that like, okay, what's the headache there? Okay, I just got to make sure my CRM to task it out, to call them, to stay in touch with them. So then when that tenant's out in August, I gain and get that business. Okay, now we got pre-foreclosures, right? Why is this a great niche right now? Well, about 3% of all mortgages throughout the United States, got about 85 million mortgages, 12 million HELOCs. About 3% of those are currently in 30 plus day default status. And this is growing monthly. Cost of inflation going up 10% plus every single year. Now you might be like, oh, Josh, that's not true. I heard the government say it was 3.5%. Okay. If you choose to believe that, you can choose to believe that. But I know that that's not the case. Yeah. Right. This isn't a podcast about that, right? But life is going up and going to continue to go up for a long time to come. Do not listen to what they tell us. Listen to what their actions are. When we look at all the social programs being added, right? The increased deficit in spending and monetization of debt, all the geopolitical moves happening, everything taking place right now is massively, highly inflationary. I hope I'm wrong on that. I hope to God for a massive deflationary crash. I just don't see it coming. Yeah, right. So anyway, though, as life is going up and up and up, even though, because people are like, oh, well, these people aren't going to lose their properties. They got these 30-year fixed, mortgages at 3% rate. Okay. But then like, okay, let's just say for you yourself, you got a 30% year rate, your mortgage, like your payment is going up every year, insurance, taxes, right? And those are going up fast in a lot of areas. But then from there, every time you go to the grocery store, like there's a point in time where when people have to choose between putting food on the table for their family or paying their mortgage payment, which one are they going to choose? Right. So this is just a continued, all I know right now is you got about 3 million homeowners that are currently 30 plus days behind on their mortgage payment. You got 1 out of 6 homeowners right now that can't even afford utility payments. You got 25,000 daily auto repos every single day. Yeah. Right. Like shit is ugly out there for, unless you're making a shit ton of money and you're in the top, I don't know, 5% of income earners, like it's fucking tough out there for most. Right. So, okay. This is a place and a time for us to go help people in our community that are in a tough spot, that need to sell fast. Otherwise, a bad situation is going to get a hell lot worse. So this is a great niche. Now, what's the negative here? Okay, about 50% of these are going to be equity sales, at least as of right now. The other 50% are going to be what's called a short sale. Okay, you got to know how to process short sales. Short sales can take 4 to 5 months on average. Yeah, right. It's a different beast, but you got to know how to do it. A positive is it's not on most agents' radars. If I go do a post on social media right now about, pre-foreclosures increasing, I just get a bunch of realtor hate. Oh no, man, market's fucking strong, economy's strong. I'm like, hey, look, I'm not saying that the, market's going to crash or the economy's going to, like, we don't need it to for people to experience hardships. I'm not saying it's not going to crash. I'm saying I don't have a crystal ball. I have no clue. And you don't have a clue either. None of us do, right? But with that, I just know that, okay, this is something that's increasing month over month. This is something I'm personally scaling up massively right now in my business and going to continue to scale up in my business. It's great opportunity to go after. Okay. So then from there, now we got divorces. This is the 5th niche right now, divorces. So great niche, people that need to sell. Now, this is always a good niche, but then from there, during economic, tough, challenging times, these increase that much more. So they're, just skyrocketing right now. So this is, you just have a lot more people that are going through divorce right now than normal, right? So it's a great niche to go after. And again, not these last 3, so your absentee owners, your pre-foreclosure divorce is not nearly as saturated, is expireds and FSBOs. So you're not going to have the same amount of agent competition going after them. Okay, what is the negative of divorces? There's a negative. It's okay, I kind of, in most cases, not always, but in most cases, I got to do everything twice because they're button heads. They're not typically, getting along extremely well. So it's like, okay, I'm prepared for that. 2 listing presentations. Every time I got to get something signed or have updates, I got to do it separately. They're going through a tough, challenging time in their relationship. We got to know that. We got to be prepared for that. So again, each one kind of has their pros and cons, but they're all great. Right. And they all convert extremely great if you have the right process and the right skill set. Okay. So you just need to identify, which niche or niches that you are going to go after and that you are going to target. And again, if your market's bigger, like in my market, and if you're in a bigger metro with, let's just say, 500,000 plus people, okay, you can probably just pick one of these to go out there and get a listing a week, right? Depends on market size and how many of these are available for you. Okay, so then from there, Last thing that I'll say here before I get into the other points is in this market that we are in here in 2024, because I get asked this question a lot. Oh, Josh, I want to go after divorces. Should I just get in with the divorce attorneys? Okay, so I'm going to answer that, and I'm not going to discourage you from trying to get with divorce attorneys. Yeah, like look, I'm going to go out there and do that stuff too. However, I'm not going to rely on that in this type this type of a market with transaction volume being so low. This is a market about strategic offense. Strategic meaning, okay, we got to be very smart, targeting those that have the highest probability of needing to buy or sell in our current market with the current economic climate that we're in, which we just went over those. Offense meaning I'm not waiting for shit to come to me. I'm doing what I can do that's in my control where I can put deals together each and every day. So am I developing relationships with bankruptcy attorneys and for to send me short sales or pre-foreclosures or divorce attorneys for divorces? Sure. But that's kind of like a secondary side hustle thing, right? Like I'm going and getting the damn divorce list and I'm calling the people going through the divorce directly because that's 100% in my control. You got to play strategic offense in this market. Don't wait for shit to come to you and come onto your lap. So what are you doing each and every day to go put these deals together personally when it comes to that? Okay, so then a couple things here. I'm going to talk about, numbers, and then we'll get into process, skill sets, some different things. All right. So for now, with any of these 5 niches, now this is going to, determine how good your process is. That, but assuming that you got the right process and you got the right skill set, assuming those things are in place, like assuming you're good and you don't suck, right, at these things, right? Okay. Here's the numbers that it's going to take on a weekly basis: 500 dials, 50 conversations, 1 listing taken. That's the target you should be hitting. So then, okay, if I divide that up Monday through Friday, that's 100 dials, 10 conversations per day. Now, if I use a dialer, I should be able to do that in 2 hours a day, right? If I'm using now, if you're using a triple line dialer, cool, or I'm just saying if you're using a single line dialer, Mojo, Arch Agent, a bunch of them out there. The key there is, whether you're using a dialer or not, is making sure that you are getting a 10% or greater answer to conversation rate. You need to hit that target. This is why tracking is imperative, why tracking is important. I talk to people all the time. They're like, well, man, I'm hitting I'm hitting the phones 3.5 hours a day and I'm only getting, a listing a month. I'm like, man, we got some problems there. Yeah. Right. Then come to discover that they got a 2%, dial to combo rate. Okay. Number got flagged as spam. Well, we got to overcome those issues, right? So we got to make sure that you're at 10% or greater, dial the conversation rate. Then from there, if I'm calling from my cell phone, it can be hard to get in 25 dials an hour. But if I jump into Mojo, Arch Agent, or a good dialer, okay, I can easily do 50 dials an hour, and then making sure that I'm having my 5 conversations an hour. So then, okay, Monday through Friday, 100 dials, 10 conversations, right? Now, here's the thing: when people, so just get a good dialer in place. You can use your phone if you have to. Just understand it's not a matter if, it's a matter of when you're going to get flagged as spam. Question I always ask people is, okay, so on your cell phone, how when you get phone calls and you look down, it says potential spam. What do you do with those calls? Now, I've never had anybody that's like, oh, I answer them. Yeah, right. Everybody's like, they kind of giggle, like, yeah, I ignore them, send them a voicemail, sometimes block them. Right. I'm like, okay. It's just a matter of time before if you're dialing from a landline or a dialer that's built into your CRM, like if you're using something that is not a dialer with great anti-spam tech built in, more you're going to, if you're not intentional with this, you're going to wind up as spam and you're going to have low dial the combo rates, right? So we got to make sure that you're at those KPIs, right? And I'm just talking from an efficiency standpoint, because to me, I want to do I want to get as much results and as much output in as little possible time possible. I enjoy working, but I don't enjoy working 24/7. Yeah, right. Like, there's just a smarter way to do this shit. There's an easier way to do it, right? Versus the hard way. Okay, so that's that there. Okay, the next thing is whichever one of these that you choose, I want you to understand and identify timeline and psychology per lead source. So timeline is going to allow you to identify how long and how frequent you must follow up with that given niche to maximize conversions. Psychology allows you to know what's going on in their mind based on that source in understanding human behavior so you know how to craft your messaging and your tone to go out there and convert them. So you can do that. Like you can be targeting these people all day long, but if you're not calling them with the right frequency, the right times, and you're saying the wrong shit in the wrong ways, you can have low conversions. And I talk to agents every single day that reach out to me for help on these free coaching calls. Now we're able to get it buttoned up on these coaching calls and get them fixed, get them dialed in. These free coaching calls that I offer you guys here. But like it's kind of like, I used to be in the gym business before I got into real estate. And I'd see people, dude, all the time that would come in and they'd be showing up every day and they'd be working out in there, but like they just never got results. So, okay, maybe their diet was off. Maybe they just didn't know how to, work out adequately. Right. And there's just little different tweaks that make a world of difference with this stuff. Right. So we got to understand timelines so we know how long and how frequent to follow up. And then we got to understand its psychology. I'll just give an example here. Let's just say I'm going after for sale by owner, right? Okay, I know the number one reason that a for sale by owner is not listing with an agent and listing on their own is not because of commissions. That's reason number two. Reason number one is they truly believe they do not need us. They truly believe they can do every bit as good of a job on their own, and they don't need us, right? That's number one. Number two is commissions. But number one, they believe in their mind that they don't need us. Okay, well then from there, I'm intelligent enough. And then I guess I've just done this long enough and I've studied enough human behavior and human psychology to know that belief systems cannot be changed by you talking at them. So you calling them up, tell them how they're going to fail, call them up. Did you know only 8% of FSBOs sell successfully on their own? 92% don't sell. Those that do sell for X% lower than an agent listed. All you're telling them is, look, you're an idiot for listing your home on your own and not using me. That's all. That's how they're perceiving it, how they're hearing it. Now you can do that and go out there and have low conversions. And like if it's a numbers game and you just want to pound the phones all day, every day and have a shit ton of resistance, okay, fine. Right. But if you want to get good at this stuff, this is where we got to match our messaging with what's going on and where they're at. And I know and understand, again, belief systems can only be changed through personal self-discovery. So go take a hardcore Trump supporter, go take a hardcore Biden supporter. We're like, okay, I'm going to lock you guys in a room. You got an hour to talk each other, to switch in parties. Okay, they're probably coming out of the room in a fucking fist fight with how polarized politics is today. Or go get a Hindu and a Christian. And that, okay, go in this room. Now, these are the true Hindu and a true Christian. Yeah, right? Like somebody that truly believes that in their religion, right? So, okay, you go lock them in a room, hour to like, there ain't like nothing's going to happen there, right? Belief systems are only changed through internal personal self-discovery. So I know and understand with the FSBO, that's usually going to be between 8 weeks on the front end side, usually with 12 weeks on the long end of the side before they get to that point where it's like, oh shit, this is more difficult than I thought, more challenging than I thought. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I need to reconsider this. Maybe I need to think about hiring a real estate agent. Okay, so what do? I make sure that I have long enough follow-up frequency and position myself as a resource. So once they get to that point, boom, I've already been helping them. I've already got the relationship. I'm following up with them weekly. Right. So then when they get to that point, bam, they're just thinking of me, man, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I do need to sit down with Joshua Smith. Right? That's where we want to get them. So this is where understanding timeline allows us to know how long and how frequent to follow up to maximize conversions. Psychology of what's going on with that lead source allows us to know, again, how to craft our messaging, how to craft our tone, how to craft our delivery, all of that with the lead source. So you got to understand timeline and psychology per lead source. Now, this leads me into the next step here, which is understanding the scripts. Now, I am not, this is going to sound a little off, a little hypocritical, if you will, because I have scripts for everything. Like if you look at my script book here for when I say script book, this is my internal playbook for my agents. It's like, man, I got scripts for every little thing in our business. It's like, here's what to do, when to do it, what to say, where to say it, how to say it, in every scenario and situation. But I do that because when I'm taking brand new agents fresh out of school and plugging them into my team, I need them to be making 20 grand a month after splits, within their first 6 months. So I need to remove the guesswork. But as soon as possible, I want them to understand the frameworks and the objective of everything that we do and when we do it and why we're doing it. So then they don't have to operate off of scripts. Number one, when you're operating off of scripts, you're going to sound salesy. Plus, where are you getting your scripts? You go online, you print off these scripts. Okay, now you just sound like everybody else. You're going to have low-level conversions. I was talking to a dude the other day that, he had, very, very, very low level conversions, but it was just the same damn script that everybody else uses. Sound like the same telemarketing sales pitch that I hear from everybody else. Yeah, right. So you got to understand human behavior. And when human behavior today, the consumer wants the information they need to make their best informed decision, but they want to do that in a safe, non-pushy, non-pressure, non-salesy environment. The second that they feel as if they are being sold, you trigger the crop portion of the brain. They go into fight or flight mode. They're looking to do exactly that, just fight or flight. That's where you get those real quick, like just objection shutdowns, right? So it's not just about having unique scripting, right? But then from there, it's about having unique tone. Like you don't want to it's not about just not sounding like all the other freaking realtors out there and all the other bullshit the gurus tell you. Like I had to get to a point where like I just threw all my real estate scripts. This was years ago, but I just threw them all out the window. And I just started studying human behavior, human psychology, Robert Cialdini's work, Michael Oliver's work, natural selling, and just figuring out these frameworks. Like I understand and know objective number one of that initial conversation is to identify timeline, identify goal, set appointment if able or appropriate, if unable or not appropriate. Then because I know their timeline and goal, now I'm able then, to know what my next best follow-up protocol is to convert those at the highest possible level, right? And then when I understand what's going on in the mindset of that particular, so I'm going to give you, like, let's say, so I can give an example here. Let's say an expired. Okay, what do most people have? Oh, well, hey, is this so and so? This is just or this is Joshua Smith of XYZ Real Estate, and whatever script that they're going in with, right? Like whatever fucking script you print off online, they all kind of sound the same. You just want to see if you still have the same goal, possibly selling your property, if you still have some interest selling your property. Like they just get right to it. They sound like everybody else. And what do they get? They get the hard shutdowns. Oh no, we said to hold off. You're the 20th agent to call me today. Yeah, right. Okay, so timeline and psychology have been expired. Okay, timeline is I understand that only 10% are relisted out of the gate. 90% are relisted between 3 months and or 4 months, that 2-year mark. So I'm gonna have a long enough follow-up protocol with them. So okay, my initial timeline until I get them on the phone. I call this my no time frame established, call tasking, I call it my no tasking drip because it's in my CRM. I just click a button and it just tells me who to call, when to call. Right. So it's going to task me to call them day one, every other day for the first 14 days, every 21 days for the first year. Now, that only exists until we have a conversation. I've identified their goal, identified their timeline, set the appointment if able or appropriate, if unable or not appropriate. Now, because I know their timeline and I know their goal, now it's going to go into 6 months or less, 6 to 12 months or 12 plus months out. Each one of those has a different fault frequency, as they should. As it gets closer, I want to set that up. And then once they're 6 months out, that's where I start getting very aggressive at going in for the appointment set. When I say very aggressive, I'm aggressive with frequency, never aggressive with people. I understand that being aggressive and pushy with people is the least, most ineffective possible way to go out there and sell right now. So then, okay, so that we talked about timeline with an expired. Now I understand psychology. What's going on in expired's head? There's 3 things going on. I call it the triple whammy gut punch. Okay, number 1, their home was just rejected by the marketplace. Boom, gut punch, number 1. Number 2, they had real estate goals that they're excited about getting met that become unmet. Boom, that's gut punch, number 2. Number 3, they had this real estate agent that promised them they could get the job done. The agent let them down, didn't get the job done. That's gut punch number 3, triple whammy gut punch, right? So here's what I need to get them to believe. I need to get them to understand this and believe this, not just speaking at them with this, but I need to get them to understand and believe this through my messaging, whether it's through my, letter campaign that I send out that's highly successful, whether it's through my phones, right? This is what my messaging is going to match, right? I need to get them to understand that, hey, your house wasn't a problem. Got a beautiful home. Your house wasn't a problem. Number 2, hey, your real estate goals 100% can still be met. The problem is that unfortunately you made the mistake of hiring the wrong real estate professional. The good job is I can get the job done. Okay, so I'm going to I'm going to walk you through why this is so powerful, right? So we got to understand tonality and what I call pre-framing. So before I actually get into the actual scripting, I'm going to have a pre-frame opener to just, because like, look, I don't care how good your scripting is, how good your pitch, how good your offer, how good your services are. If they are not listening to you, you're never going to have success with it. So remember, if you trigger sales resistance, they go in the croc portion of the brain, you trigger fight or flight mode, they're looking to just fight or flight. We've all been in situations where somebody's talking to us. We're not even listening to the damn words coming out of their mouth. We're just thinking about what are we going to say to get the fuck out of this conversation, right? Like we've all been there. That's called passive listening. We need to keep them out of passive listening, keep them in active listening. So actually listen to what we have to say. Now, but again, we got to understand psychology of each. Now, my approach, the pre-framing and tonality is the same per lead source, but the actual opener, the words that are coming out of my mouth are different on each of these niches, right? So let's just say it's an expired. Like I said, remember, I got to get them to understand they have a beautiful home. The home isn't the problem. Number two, the goals can still be met. Number three, the mistake that they made is unfortunately that they hired the wrong realtor. I can get the job done. And then just remember this, because I'll walk you through this objective, regardless of niche. So, whatever the source is, objective of conversation number one, identify timeline, identify goals, set appointment if able or appropriate, if unable or appropriate, because we know goal and timeline, that then dictates our follow-up protocol so we can maximize conversions. So I'm reaching out to this expired. I'm going to talk very slow. You're going to see here how I kind of stutter, how I sound confused, a little concerned, but soft, kind of a neutral, concerned, confused tone. But I'm doing this because I don't want to sound, it's not just like sounding like any other realtor. We don't want to sound like the other realtors. We also don't want to sound like any other sales experience they ever had. And we need to get them, we need to convey the message that we want to convey with them. So my pre-frame opener, and pre-frame is, again, to keep them out of passive listening mode, to keep them in active listening mode so I can have an effective conversation. So let's just say, expirer's name is Susan. So I'm reaching out to Susan. Hey, is this Susan? Yeah, this is Susan. Hey, Susan, this is just Joshua Smith here with XYZ Real Estate. I want to see if you could help me out with something really fast. I'm on the MLS right now, and I'm looking at your home on 123 West Main Street, and it looks like maybe for some reason you're sorry, I just fucked that up. Okay, I'm going to start that over. I was thinking ahead of here. I was in my own passive listening mode. Okay, so hey, so I'm going to start that over. Hey, is this Susan? Yeah, this is Susan. Hey, Susan, this is just Joshua Smith here with XYZ Real Estate. Hey, I want to see if you could help me out with something really fast. I'm on the MLS right now, looking at your property at 123 West Main Street. It looks like maybe you had your home recently listed for sale, and it looks like maybe for some reason it didn't sell for some reason. And like I said, I'm on the MLS right now, and I'm looking at all your photos, and I'm looking at all your property information, and you have such a beautiful home. I'm just curious, why do you feel your home didn't sell? Right? That's such a great, here's why it's a strong opener, right? Is, again, it's sounding different. I'm talking slow. I'm stuttering. I know that sounds so unorthodox, but it keeps them actually listening to what you're having to say. But again, remember, I need to get them to believe and understand that their house wasn't a problem. It's like my expired letter. And I've been sending this expired letter out for almost, I don't know, 18 years, 17 years now since I've refined it. And it's had a lot of revisions over the year. This thing's made me millions over my real estate career. Right. So it just kicks ass and works. Now it's taken me a lot of fucking split tests and refining it to get it to work, but okay, they open up the letter, big picture of the front of their house. Then above that picture, it says, sometimes even the finest of homes do not always sell. Okay. So what I'm doing there with that opener, so this is an example of a phone opener. And I'll go into an opener that I use for like FSBOs and divorces too all the time. But it gets them to start opening up. And the more that they vent, the more that you got them. Again, the whole part of the pre-frame opening is to have a highly effective, good conversation where conversing together, not against, they're not shutting you down. So, and look, sometimes they'll go through and vent. Sometimes, a lot of times, more often than not, it's just kind of a, we don't really know. We're hoping it would get sold, but for some reason it didn't sell. Hey, I understand that too. And look, again, you have a beautiful home. I'm a little shocked it didn't sell myself. And just out of curiosity, I mean, where were you looking at moving to? Because remember, now I need to transition into goal and timeline. So maybe they're like, oh, we were looking at moving to X. Well, what's an X? Oh, family, whatever. So I'm just kind of, having a good conversation like you're talking to a neighbor. Right. So it's just out of curiosity, where were you looking at moving to? Oh, we were looking at relocating to Sarasota, Florida. Oh, great. Well, what's in Florida? Oh, we have some family there. We think about retiring. Okay, well, that sounds awesome. That sounds great. Just out of curiosity, man, it looks like looks like you were trying to get there sooner than later. Is that still the overall goal, or is that maybe possibly changed? So then now I'm going to get in a timeline. Yeah, right. Now, the most common objection you get expired, especially in today's day and age, is, oh, well, we decided to hold off. That's okay. So I gotta deep down. I gotta dive in, right? People are like, oh, we decided to wait. And that's usually when most agents shut down. Then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, you go on the market and you see that's relisted with somebody else that has a higher level skill set. So then this is where it's always together, never against. So it would decide to hold off. Yeah, no worries at all. I totally understand that. And what's causing you to want to possibly hold off? Well, with prices, with interest rates, okay, that's an easy objection to overcome. But I got to know if that is the true objection, because sometimes objections aren't objections. Sometimes it's a reality situation. Maybe they're like, hey, we just said we were going to retire, but with the economy, we decided to not retire. We're going to stay put, keep working for 2 more years to, fund our retirement account that much more. At that point, our Social Security kicks in when we get the highest level of Social Security, so we just, okay, well, that no longer is an objection. That's the reality of the situation. Now I just need to make sure that I stay in touch with them so then I can get that business when it comes. Okay, an example of a pre-frame opener, because I want you guys to understand this because it's so damn important. Because again, the script itself isn't that important. It's about how we deliver it. It's not so much what we say, it's how we say it. Because again, I don't care how good your scripting is, how good your pitch is, how good your offer is. If they are not listening, if they don't feel comfortable with you, if you're unable to unpack their true root core objections or concerns, none of it is relevant in the first place. So it's just, you're going to convert out of it. Like you and I can have the same exact scripts, right? But I can have the right pre-frame and the right tone, and know the right way to ask the right questions, know the right delivery, the right pausing, and go out there and get 4x the results and conversions that you're getting, even though we have the same script, right? This shit is really important. Okay, so one that I use very frequently with FISBOs or like divorces, something like this. So hey, is this Susan? Yeah, this is Susan. Hey, Susan, this is just Joshua Smith here at XYZ Real Estate. Hey, I got something I want to run past you really fast. Just in case it might be something that possibly works for you. And if not, no worries at all. Just let me know. And again, no problem at all. But I just want to run it past you just in case it's something that you might be interested in. Now, the reason why that is a good, powerful pre-frame is because I've already given them permission that it's okay to say no. So it's like, okay, I know we're talking about sellers here, but because a lot of you have worked with so many buyers, I'll give you an example here. Okay, buyers, what do they always have this immediate shutdown of, oh, I'm just browsing. So again, remember, objective of conversation number one is to identify timeline, identify goal, set appointment if able or appropriate, if unable or appropriate, because I know timeline and goal. Now I'm able to establish, what that follow-up is going forward. So I found the best way to overcome these these quick shutdowns is do what I call pre-frame mirroring, where I'm mirroring their language and I'm including it my pre-frame, my openers, if you will. So then it's just a non-issue. So I know they're going to say, oh, we're just browsing, we're not looking. So I just lead with that. Hey, I know that you're probably just browsing, not looking to make a move now or anytime at all in the, the near future. So just hypothetically speaking, I mean, if you were to make a possible move in the future, I mean, what would you say your best guesstimate is on when that might possibly be? Within 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Again, just hypothetically speaking, what would you say? What would you say best guess is on when that might possibly be? Probably 1 to 2 years. Okay, great. Now I can transition into goal, from that, but now I got timeline, right? So that is that's just examples again of pre-framing, making sure that we're diffusing that sales resistance, right? But you do got to make sure, like, again, so this is where scripting does come in. Like the script that I'm going to utilize for a divorce is different than an absentee owner, is different than expired, because they all have different scenarios and situations. Like a FISBO, right? Okay, I know that they're listing their home because they believe that they don't need me. So we have, I've got 3 different pitches for FISBOs. I do have a bottom line upfront script that I go on with to try to get their listing immediately, but I understand initially I'm going to get turned down way more than not on that. Yeah, right. Because I got to give them that 10 to 12 weeks, or that 8 to 12 week time frame. Yeah, right. So then we have a switch in that script. So as soon, like, I'm already anticipating the no. Yeah, right. So then boom, we position ourselves immediately as that resource. And then now we have a weekly resource follow-up. We also have a strategy that we go out with just offering the free resource and a free resource kit, and then stay in touch with them for that when the time comes. We also have an open house strategy, right, that I love doing. 38% of those that we do open houses on, we end up getting the listings. right? So it's a great way to go in and like, because like when I said I like doing them because we do a lot of open houses as a team. Yeah, we're going after all these niches for listings, but we also do a lot for the buy side of the business too. Because when you're wanting to close, 2+ homes daily, as a team collectively, like you got to do a lot of shit, right? To go out there and do that. So, we have a few different strategies that we're doing, with these, that we're going after, but each of the scripting is slightly different. But here's why I don't also like to attach to scripts is you got to be able to script jump. Let's just say I'm going to go in and start leading with that opener that I just gave you on the expireds. And maybe I'm the 30th one that they talk to that day. And they just shut me down as soon as I introduce myself. Hey, this is just Joshua Smith with XYZ Real Estate. And they just shut me down. We are not selling you. The 30th realtor to call me, say, I'm sick of you guys calling me, sick of you trying to sell me, right? Now I can transition that over to my survey script, right? Which is, oh, hey, yeah, no worries at all. I totally get that. And just so you know, I'm not here to sell you anything. Sounds like you've had a lot of realtors, calling you today and begging you to list with them. And just so you know, I've got nothing to sell you here. So I'm able to transition. I'm not going to go into my survey script right now, but I'm able to transition that into my survey script, right? Where I'm not selling anything, but it's still leading the process and still leads to us getting listings, right? So, the reason why I don't like, to attach to scripts too heavily is because things go off script so damn fast. This is why I like to understand the overall objectives, right? So then I can navigate those conversations. If I know that the overall objective is to identify timeline, identify goals, set appointment if able or appropriate, if unable or appropriate. Now, because I know goal and timeline, then now I know the next best fall protocol. Right now, I can let that conversation kind of flow like water and go where it goes, right? And because it's about having effective conversations. Remember, it's a 2-step sales process. Step number 1, we need to sell the appointment. And step number 2, we're selling our services on the appointment. So I'm just trying to sell the value of the appointment and why that's a benefit to them and how I can navigate because I know the objective of those conversations. Okay, so lastly, let's go through the sample schedule. So very simple. Let's just say, okay, I know that all of you have different constraints, so you can change out these hours. So let's just say 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Okay, be getting in the office, knock it out, any urgent emails, any urgent matters that you have to do, and prepping for my calls, right? So that'd be 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. So maybe I got to update some leads that came in the night before my CRM, got to fire off a couple urgent emails that I need to get done. It might be 30 minutes of urgent shit. That gives me 30 minutes to get all my call prep data ready so I can start then from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. to be on that dialer to make sure between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m., which is when I recommend to do these dials, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., I'm getting in my 100 dials, 10 conversations so I can get out there and get my one listing taken a week. Then let's just say 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., miscellaneous lead follow-up like past clients, sphere of influence, other miscellaneous sign call leads that have come in. There's going to be other lead follow-up they have to do. Then from there, let's just say 10:30 to noon is your client updates, emails, paperwork, all the essential non-money making activities that we have to go out there and do. Then noon on is going to be what I call pounding the pavement time. So noon on is going to be listing presentations, buyer consultations, showing properties, right? If you're not doing any of those things, okay, you can do more prospecting, more lead gen, or you're working on the business, working on systems, processes. You just need to realize that, look, if you're sticking to the schedule very quickly, you're going to be stacking 3 or 4 listing presentations a week. So you're going to be busy with prepping for them, presenting on them, right? Putting deals together, putting offers together. So that's why, even though that 7 to noon schedule, that's why it very quickly adds on, goes from like a, 7 a.m. to 4 or 5 p.m., with that, nice thing about being heavy on the listing side is, okay, in the weekends, unless you want to, but you're not having to go out there and, show all these properties. And, so listings or weekends can, be bought back a little bit. With that, just kind of fielding agent calls and fielding offers and not to say, like, it's one of these things with real estate, like we're always working. You even want to take vacation. There might be like 90 minutes throughout that day where I'm firing off emails. That's just, hey, you and I, we chose to a profession where we are helping people buy and sell the biggest financial asset of their lives. So it's a big responsibility. We got to take that responsibility on. I'm okay with the fact I never truly have a day off. But I'm also okay with the fact I don't know any other business that you can go out in 40 hours a week, being a college dropout like myself, go take a 2-week crash course where you can start making 40 G's a month, or more, depending on what your average commission is, in a 40, 50-hour work week max. Yeah, right. But we can get this down to 40-hour work weeks. And then from there, depends on what niches that you're going after. So I love absentee owners. It's my favorite niche in this market for a lot of reasons. But one of the reasons is, they're not usually even living in they're not living in the property. They're usually not living in the area. So most of my listing presentations are over Zoom or over the phone. I try to do as many of my listing presentations over Zoom as possible, so it just makes us more efficient. So then I'm having to drive all around town for these, right? So there's ways that you can implement in efficiencies where you can, scale back your hour allocation, into this. So this overall, I know we're going long here on time, but this overall is my plan, my recommendation, top tips there is giving you a high level overview. Yeah, of course, you got a lot to dial in here, a lot of skill sets to master, a lot of things. Doesn't take long though. Like with a new coaching client, give me 30 days with them, if they choose to, I can have them at or close to a run rate where they're popping a listing a week, right? Like this doesn't take forever, but you gotta, but at least now, and have an idea of what you need to focus on and what you need to start dialing in to get this stuff together. All right, so I'm just going to end it with this. I know I said this at the beginning, but I just want to hit it here in case you need my help. Look, if your business is down, or if it's stagnant, or maybe it's growing, just not growing at the pace that you want it to grow at, you just do not know exactly what you need to do to get from where you're at to where it is that you want to go, I highly encourage and I invite you to schedule a 100% free Zoom coaching call with me personally, being a 1 hour long Zoom coaching call with you and I. We can talk about where your business is at, what your 12-month goals are, what your long-term goals and visions are for your business, what your current biggest sticking points are inside your business, what you're currently doing. I'm going to map out based on your specific business, your specific situation, exactly what you must do, exactly what I recommend that you must do to get from where you're at to where you want to go in the quickest, most effective, efficient, profitable manner possible. Now, dude, if you have any confusion, if you do not know exactly what you need to do, then book this damn call. It's like, look, I'm here to help you, but if you don't reach out, then I can't help you. But I promise you, I will get you dialed in. I got your back. I typically charge $1,000 an hour for these calls. I'm doing them for a limited time for free. These aren't going to be something I can do forever. I'm trying to do them right now because I know that a lot of people are struggling. There's a lot of confusion. So much information out there, even team leaders, broker owners, so much freaking confusion out there right now. So I'm just trying to hook up all my amazing GSD mode peeps that have supported me over the years. This is a way for me to say thank you and give back to you. I got your back. I will get you dialed in, but if you don't book it, I can't help you, but I promise I can help you. If you book it, if you show up, we will get you dialed in. Now, if you schedule, it's going to be a video afterwards to watch. Just it's a quick video to just make sure that you're prep for the call so we can maximize the time out of that call. So if you want to schedule, let's go to www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. All right. Talk to you guys next time. Keep crushing it. Peace.